Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is March 1st. Happy meteorological spring to everybody out there, but it doesn't feel like spring just yet. We've got this very cold upper level trough right off the coastline here, continuing to pinwheel these showers into the area. And as you can see, this is going to go on for the next few days. Had a little bit of light snowfall accumulation here around SeaTac, just west of SeaTac yesterday. So that could be kind of a recurring theme over the next few days as well. Can't rule out a thunderstorm. And of course, when these showers do go over the mountains, they are prolific snow makers. Plenty cold enough around the area once you get some elevation to build up that snowpack. Now, taking a look at the Doppler radar, and you can see the visible satellite imagery this morning. Check out all the cold air cumulus out there, and you can see the showers continue to roll in. Don't be surprised as these snowflakes mix it in, even west of the Cascades as we go on through the day today. There are some winter weather advisories out this morning, and that may be reissued at some point here upcoming, but very difficult forecast. That surface flow out of the south here, right off the ocean, makes it very tough to bring accumulating significant snowfalls down onto the cement for the lower elevations here, but it will try at times. We're not expecting big amounts, however, and then the models tell you something different also. So it makes for a very difficult time here for some of the forecasters. I'll show you more on that here in a minute. If we look at low temperatures since midnight here, you can see we're dealing with the mid-30s across a lot of western Washington. A little bit chillier out some of the coastal areas here. You can kind of see it down towards 32 degrees near Quinault, for example. And if we look down towards Oregon, you can see the Willamette Valley, for the most part, is going to be above freezing here. And you can see the mid-30s showing up there, and some of the coastal areas a little bit chillier. If you click in on here, you can see Newport actually got down to 32 degrees there. So you could get some slushy accumulation across some portions of the lower elevations towards the Oregon coast here as well. And of course, once you get in the coastal range or down across the Siskiyous or California-Oregon border, it's definitely going to be sticking snowfall. And once you get some of these showers east of the Cascades also, you can see the temperatures are chillier and there's a better chance for accumulation there. And you can look across the mountains and see the colder temperatures there also. So the winter weather advisories were up for the coastal areas here, and there was a little bit of lower elevation snowfall out there, but these will be expiring today. We'll see if these will be reissued or not. Now, taking a look at eastern Washington, they did put this out this morning, March 1st. You can see possible heavy snow showers Friday generally in this area here. It could include Spokane as time, and mainly some flash freezing here for particularly Idaho. And, reduce your speed, watch out, never use cruise control in any snow or ice out there. So the timing of this is Friday afternoon. And we do have the several chances of snow as we go on into the next few days as well. Now, taking a look here for Missoula, Montana, there's winter weather advisories all over the place here also, and there's the avalanche warning here across some of the Panhandle and some of western Montana as well, and this goes down into Oregon. I'll show you that here right now. You can see the flashing red. Go to avalanche.org if you're going out in the backcountry across portions of Idaho, Oregon, Idaho Panhandle, and Montana. In fact, there's still considerable avalanche danger across the Cascades of Washington, Oregon, and down towards California as well, so always good to check this before you go. Now, if we take a look at what the high-resolution models say, this is the North American model on the left versus the high-resolution on the right. Put it into motion, you can see these showers continuing to pinwheel here through the afternoon. You can see virtual agreement here on the NAM and the high-resolution rapid refresh, but you can see the HER always shows things a little bit more heavy than the NAM does. But you can see these showers pinwheeling here as we go on into this afternoon and tonight. And then you can kind of see the HER does show a little bit of that mesoscale low we talked about yesterday right on the coastline. That could bring some locally windy conditions here. And the North American model also wants to bring a strong pressure rise up some of the Puget Sound also. Not many of the models are showing that, however, so it's kind of off on its own there. But you can kind of see that pinwheeling through there, and we're going to get some of that increase here as we go through the day Saturday. Maybe we'll bring a thunderstorm in here. Probably the best chance for a thunderstorm inland is on the day Saturday. We get more of a westerly flow aloft here as that low pressure center tries to move through the area here, and we usher in more of that cold air aloft. Now, taking a look at the North American model versus the high-resolution model on the right, you'll notice that both models do show that low-pressure system developing here. You can see the HER has it right off the mouth of the Columbia there, and the North American model much stronger with it, as you can see. So it would be stronger winds associated, and that's what brings those gusty conditions to some of western Washington, maybe the Willamette Valley here. But again, that's an outlier there. Not expecting big winds right now, but you can't completely just ignore the North American model with that. If you get some gusts up to 40 miles per hour, you can cause some of those nuisance power outages. And if we put this into motion, I'll show you those wind speeds here. You can see the North American model there kind of lash a little bit of southwest Washington. It brings that strong pressure rise up the Puget Sound as well. And you see the HER doesn't really show that big difference between 33 miles per hour and 46 for Seattle. So just something you got to keep in the back of your mind. Now, looking at the Canadian, let's see what it says. And if we put this into motion, you can see it does bring those high winds to some of the Oregon coast, including Astoria, maybe down towards Tillamook and Seaside here across some of southwest Washington. And it does bring some of those gusty winds up the Kitsap Peninsula and towards the Puget Sound here also. So you can't completely sleep on it. Now, if you take a look here at the CoCoRaHS, if you want to sign up for this, especially if you are in an area that's not in, in a major metropolitan area, CoCoRaHS is pretty cool. You can see that this person out here got to, they put notes in there, intermittent snow squalls overnight, 2.2 inches of snowfall here near Lake Quinault, and you can see 5.9 here, and multiple moderate snow bands crossing last night. So interesting stuff. If you want to join CoCoRaHS, check it out, CoCoRaHS. You can just do a Google search on that. And you can see we did get some trace snowfall amounts, officially trace at my house here and trace at Tacoma and whatnot. So yeah, you can't rule out things getting a little bit slick out there at times if things line up just right, especially some of the timing with some of the overnight showers here. But things, you look at the European model, like for the ensemble runs here, and it kind of makes these worthless because, this was doing it for last night as well. And, this is just not happening at SeaTac International Airport. So this is still the value of having human forecasters look at things. You can see Tillamook as well, showing just some huge amounts in there, but we know we're not going to be getting these kind of snowfall amounts. So the North American model probably has one of the best handles on this. As we go through the next 60 hours, again, you can see some slushy accumulations here, maybe for the coastal areas as well. And yeah, not too much for the Willamette Valley, though, or the Puget Sound as far as significant snowfall, however. And you can see it for eastern Washington as we go through the afternoon today. It does show some snow showers move by out there, but they are pretty hit and miss. Now, if we look at the snow depth in inches, this is the European, much better to use this versus just the actual 10-to-1 snowfall maps. And you can kind of see it does, again, show some of the flirtation with some of the lower elevation snowfall. And it kind of wants to show the Oregon and Washington coastline, and that's probably just a product of some of the resolution bleeding out into the lower terrain there because the mountains aren't that far off, especially down across the Oregon coastline. Now, if we take a look at lightning flash density potential as we go through the day to day, you can kind of see this again along the coastline here. You can't rule out one coming inland here, so don't be too shocked if you hear a rumble of thunder out there. But again, Saturday probably the better day. You can see some of this instability gets inland a bit more as we get a little bit of a low pressure center moving through here. We get some more westerlies, in the lower levels of the atmosphere that help bring in a little bit more cold air, maybe eastern Washington, Oregon, also through Saturday afternoon, maybe the Puget Sound or Seattle as well. And then as we go through Sunday, we continue that thunderstorm chance across some of the region. Now, if we look at the HRRR yesterday, you notice this, I just kind of left it alone. This was actually yesterday morning, and it was showing this accumulating snowfall into the lower terrain here. So this is kind of why I want to show this here. And now we're going to show this one for today. And it keeps showing some of that across the Willamette Valley, but you can see it's really backed off what's across the Puget Sound here and some of the coastal areas as well. Now, if we look at the 10-to-1 ratio maps, you'll see people posting these on social media. You ignore them because obviously you're not going to get 20 inches of snowfall on the Oregon coast. The HRRR wants to show 31 inches here. So that's why you got to just kind of throw these completely out in the trash. We're not getting 5.4 inches in Seattle, and you're not getting 7 inches in the Willamette Valley or whatever this is for the GFS. So if you see these, you can just immediately ignore these in these marginal situations. Now, taking a look at the European and the GFS and the upper levels of the atmosphere, you can see this polar low pinwheeling here, and you need this thing to be a bit more close and over inland areas here to bring the better trajectory, because out in front of this you're getting that southerly flow, and that's what makes it very difficult to stick snowfall down into the lower elevations. But when this swings through, the European's been showing a little bit of an interesting solution. It wants to bring a low pressure center across some of the area, and it wants to pull a little bit more cold air out of that. The GFS doesn't really show it. That's something we'll be watching here over the next day or two. I got another slide on that here in a moment. And now, this is at 850 millibars. You got BC, Washington, Oregon here. You got the GFS on the right. So this is at 5,000 feet. It kind of shows you that surface low right off our coastline. And you can see that Arctic air by the time we get towards tomorrow morning on the GFS and the European. It shows it sagging south across British Columbia. But you notice kind of that southwest southerly flow here across the area. Then that Arctic air kind of hanging out. And then as the European goes on in towards about Monday during the day, you can see that low pressure center track here. And then it pulls some of that Arctic air down. So that will be a time we could watch for some lower elevation snowfall as we go through the day. Monday, maybe Monday night on into Tuesday morning. But you notice the GFS doesn't really show that feature there. So we'll be watching that over the next day or two. Just something kind of fantasy right now that I'll be paying attention to. If we look at the European here over the next couple of days, you can see as we go through the day today, these showers continue to move through the area, some nice mountain snows, especially across some of southern Oregon here as well. Oregon's been doing quite nicely out, and a lot of areas are going above average for the snow water equivalent. So we'll look at that here in a moment. But you can see as we scroll on in through this weekend here, you see the showers continuing for a lot of the area. Again, some nice mountain snows probably piling up here. And then we bring that system here on in through Monday, and you can kind of see that little wave moving through here, and that could pull a little bit of Arctic air out. So we'd have to watch for some convergence zone activity or a deformation on the north side of that. But we'll worry about that. We have some time to look at that feature. And just a heads up that the waves are going to remain elevated as we go on in through this weekend coming up here. So don't turn your back on the ocean. Looks like we do get a break, though, as we head on in towards Monday and Tuesday of next week, however. But again, subject to change and kind of an AI look at things here. Don't turn your back on the ocean. Stay out of the surf zone here. And this isn't what sneaker waves look like. It's just kind of like all of a sudden the water levels just start rising at the ocean. There's no big breaking wave that kind of announces its arrival, at least not usually speaking. But yeah, if you see waves like this on the coast, also, to back away from the shoreline there. These people would probably get swamped here. But yeah, kind of a little bit of an AI humor look at things there. So 6 to 10 day, you can see the West Coast still below average as we go through March 10th, and 6 to 10 day precipitation still pegged to be above average across some of the west here as well. And the snow water equivalent, we are, slowly ticking upwards here, and we're going to continue to do so. You can see a lot of Oregon now up towards average or even a little bit higher. We still got some work to do across Montana, some of Idaho and Washington and British Columbia. So let's hope this system continues to produce some of that mountain snow. But yeah, interesting stuff. Nice look on the infrared satellite imagery. This storm is really hammering this Sierra Nevada's long duration blizzard going on down there now. And especially be careful if you're traveling across I-5 down through southern Oregon into northern California. There's some really extreme winter conditions as you go down up and down I-5 into California, back into Oregon. So yeah, we'll continue to break this down day by day. We will watch that system come in. It's going to come in through tonight, and it'll be coming across the area as we go through tomorrow morning. So as I'm doing my briefing then, we'll be able to see just what model handled that feature best. And, I'm still hoping for a little bit of accumulating snowfall here. I always like to see it snow here, but the odds are just not that good in the lower elevations on cement. You may get a treat and see it stick on the grass or some of the rooftops out there, or maybe on cars. But it doesn't look too bad for the lower elevations. So I don't want to freak people out and say, hey, you're going to get a bunch of snowfall. But there is some chance on the coastal areas that you might get brief accumulations down to some of the lower elevations, as well as your kind of proximity to this colder air is better along the immediate coastline. So anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. I go back to work here for a couple of days. Then I will be off for a few more days after that. Maybe I'll go out and do some chasing somewhere. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, hope you guys are liking the videos. Click like, subscribe, leave some comments below. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.